Rise today during Police Week to pay tribute to our police officers around the country, the men and women in blue who every day serve us in Ohio and in every state represented in this chamber. In Ohio, this is a particularly difficult week. Here we are in Police Week, and we are once again mourning the loss of a police officer. This happened just last Friday. Last Friday, a gunman took 2 people hostage in the woods behind a nursing home in Kirkersville, Ohio. It's a small town about 25 miles east of Columbus. The first one to arrive on the scene was the police chief of this small town. His name was Stephen Desario. And Chief Stephen Desario confronted the assailant. He was ambushed by this assailant. He was shot. He was killed. This gunman then went inside the nursing facility and he murdered 2 staff members, registered nurse Marlena Medrano and a nurse's aide named Cindy France. Then he took his own life. By the way, Police Chief Stephen Desario was 36 years old and had just become the police chief in Kirkersville a month ago. The women who were slain were Marlena Medrano, who had a son, and Cindy Krantz, who had 5 kids, including a 10-year-old son. Those kids had to spend Mother's Day preparing for the burial of their moms. On Monday, I went to Kirkersville and saw the memorial there for the officer. I also had an opportunity to meet with some of the officers who were from neighboring communities. There was just one police officer in Kirkersville, just the chief, and was able to express to them the sympathy and the gratitude of people from throughout Ohio. I brought a flag that had been flown over the United States Capitol here in honor of Chief Desario, and that flag will go to the family as a very small token of appreciation and gratitude of all of us for the service of their father and their husband. Chief Desario had 6 kids, and his widow, Erin, is currently pregnant with their 7th child. A child who's never going to know his or her dad. What he will know, or she will know, this child will know, is that he died a hero. He died a hero risking his life to protect innocent people. And that's what police officers do every single day. They keep us safe. They take dangerous criminals and weapons and drugs off our streets. They enforce the law. Even their very presence helps to deter crime and keep our communities safer. But they do it all at great risk to themselves and a great sacrifice to their families. A little more than a year ago, I did a ride-along in Columbus with an officer named Greg Meyer. He's one of these brave Columbus police officers who goes out every day to help keep our communities safe. We were focused on a couple of issues that night in Columbus. One is the drug trade and particularly the opioid crisis we face in Ohio. And he was able to show me where much of this activity occurs, and we were able to see with our eyes some of the people who are trafficking drugs, dispersing, and what goes on in our communities. We were also talking about human trafficking and his work in that area, and we were able to go to some particular places where there's been trafficking in the past, where the police officers have broken up trafficking rings, where girls and women are made to become dependent on heroin, and then the traffickers have them often in a hotel for a week until they move on to another one, and sell human beings, usually online, usually through the iPhone. And again, this police officer was able to tell me about what he has done and what his force has done to help protect these girls and women and help to get them out of that situation. This was just a few hours for me, and I always enjoy doing these ride-alongs, but this is his life and their lives. Every day, out there doing their best to try to protect us and to make our communities safer. The day before this tragedy in Kirkersville occurred, we had a lot of police officers here in town because on Thursday and Friday and over the weekend, police officers were coming in for Police Week and Police Memorial Day, which was on Monday. So I got a chance to meet with a bunch of these officers and thank them for their service. We talked about the fact that the job is dangerous and increasingly dangerous. And unfortunately, the numbers show that. Little did we know that the day after we were talking, again, there would be this tragedy in Ohio. We talked about the fact that some of their families have had sleepless nights because they don't know whether their husband or their wife or their son or daughter is going to be coming home. In our nation's history, more than 21,000 police officers have died in the line of duty. Think about that, 21,000. This year, we've already had 42 this year, 2017. In 2016, we lost 143, about one officer every 3 days. And again, last year, 5 of those fallen officers were from Ohio. Aaron Christian, a patrolman with the Chesapeake Police Department. Thomas Cottrell, a patrolman with the Danville Police Department. Sean Johnson of the Hilliard, Ohio Police Department. Stephen Smith of the Columbus Division of Police. And Kenneth Velez, an Ohio State trooper. I had the opportunity to meet with some of the families of these fallen officers to express our appreciation, to express our respect for them and the sacrifices that they bear. It takes courage to wear the badge. And those officers wore the badge day in and day out. They knew what they were getting into, and yet they wore that badge. They died wearing that badge. Although these heroic men were taken from us, their examples can never be taken away and won't be. Ohioans are going to remember them as models of bravery and service, examples of fellow citizens who, on behalf of all of us, were in the habit of walking into danger rather than running away from it. We've got an opportunity in this body to do something that will make a difference for our police officers by supporting Police Week. There's a resolution that the House and Senate are working on. I urge all my colleagues to support it. I'm sure they will. I think we need to show our men and women in blue on the front lines that we do appreciate them. There's also legislation that can be supported. Most recently, I introduced legislation with a majority whip called the Back the Blue Act, and it's very simple. It says if you target a law enforcement officers, you're going to have to pay a very high price. And that's appropriate. We think the Back the Blue Act, by increasing penalties on those who would attempt to harm or kill a police officer, is going to make a difference because it'll send a strong message and help deter some of these crimes. Ultimately, I think that'll make our heroes in blue safer and help save lives. So again, I urge my colleagues to join me in the wake of this terrible tragedy we had in Central Ohio. I know the people of Ohio are looking for Congress to stand tall and to stand with our police officers, thanking them for what they do to protect us every day. Let's support this Police Week resolution. Let's support the Back the Blue Act. Let's do everything we can to ensure our police officers know we're with them, we're at their side, as they do their job every day to protect us. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield back my time.